Gaming Geek here with a speed painting video for Crisis Protocol using Games Workshop's contrast colors. So we're going to go ahead and paint all 10 of them, basically sticking with one color and going through each model rather than working on one model at a time. Contrast colors we will be using requires all of the models to be spray painted white, and so that's what I did, just using a rattle can. Except for Ultron, he's going to be painted silver, and that's just going to make it a lot easier. We're not really using contrast on him. And then the bases are in gray, just spray painted gray so that they're primed. Here I'm using slate gray acrylic paint, and you can use any gray that you have, a lighter gray. And we're going to do the bases of the 4 heroes and villains that have these stone bases. So here is Captain Marvel and Spider-Man, and then finally Baron Zemo has these stone bases. So we're just going to cover that up in this light gray. And grab your favorite silver and also do the grading of the bases silver. And so you'll see just a couple of them have the grading where you'll just want to just paint solid silver like this. Next, you're going to take either null oil or dark tone, and we're going to just wash all of the bases. If you haven't seen my video showing the differences between the different brands of these shades, go ahead and check this video out. But pretty much they are the same, Null Oil and Army Painter's dark tone. And then now we're gonna glue down the figures onto the bases after that dries, and I use super glue. I did use testers to glue all of the pieces together, the plastic, before I spray painted them. And the reason why I use super glue is once you get paint on, testers can't melt the plastic. And so that's why I use super glue to put all of them on their bases. And then I'm putting the wash ahead here on Ultron and covering him up so that there's shading provided onto his silver, and just spread that generously. Next, we're doing Gilliman flesh for all of the flesh that we're going to find, which isn't a whole lot actually. So here we have Captain Marvel's face that we're going to work on, and as you can see here, don't be afraid to be generous with the paint because the paint does dry a little bit lighter. And then just make sure it doesn't pool down towards the bottom. And then here we have Crossbones. He has the most flesh showing, and so his arms, as well as his neck. Make sure to get his neck. And I think this makes skin coloring really easy. Talisar blue is what we're going to use to color in all of the blue colors. And so we're going to start off with Captain Marvel and do most of her suit in this blue. Now the key to using contrast colors is to be very careful with the edges. And so even though you're doing a wash and using liberal amounts of paint, you want to be really careful in not getting this paint all over the model. And so as you can see here, I'm being really careful with my edging and making sure I'm not getting it onto the other parts of our suit that's going to be a different color. Because contrast colors basically shows the color underneath. Here's the finished blue, as you can see. And it didn't turn out too splotchy, which is something that can happen with contrast colors. The other thing that you want to make sure you do is don't let the paint dry when you're putting on coats, because there'll be a sharp line where it's drying and you put on another coat on top of that. And so we did Spider-Man, and here is Captain America. Next we're going to do Ironed Yellow. Here we're going to do Captain Marvel's hair, as well as some of the banding on the upper part of her uniform. And I just used references online for what other people painted with their models in terms of where the colors go. And so you can do that as well. And then here I chose to pretty much do the banding for Black Widow. I know other people have done black or gray, but I like the yellow, so I'm going to stick with yellow to do all of her banding. And then with Iron Man, there's just a couple of spots that are yellow. And again, I wish I would have spray painted him silver. Now with Dr. Octopus, he has quite a bit of yellow. Both of his gauntlets, as well as his shoulders and his shoes are all yellow. and make sure that you're liberal enough that there's shading that's provided once you put the color down. But I think this Ironed Yellow is one of my favorite colors. It really provides some cool shading. Once that's done, we're going to go ahead and take this red. Sorry I didn't show you the bottle, but this is Blood Angels Red, and there's quite a number of models that we're going to be using this red on. Obviously Spider-Man, and then here we have Black Widow's hair, and Captain America has boots and his gauntlets, as well as his shield. And it's a little bit of a challenge to stay within the lines on the shield. Obviously Red Skull's skull is all red. And then here I switched to a smaller brush, a detail brush, to do the banding around Cap's waist. And then Ultron has some spots of red all around his body. And then the glasses for Dr. Octopus I also made red, and the eyes on Crossbones as well. And then with Iron Man, now there is a darker red that Games Workshop or Citadel creates, and that would probably be a better red than this lighter crimson that I have, but I don't have that color, so I'm just using the red that I have. And again, I think a silver undertone would work better with Iron Man. Here we're doing snakebite leather for some of the browns, and so all of the banding, the belt for Captain America, I'm doing snakebite leather. And then as well, Baron Zemo's jacket, you can cover the whole thing with snakebite leather. Next I'm going to take Black Templar, and let's see how this looks on most of the models. Now when you're working on pieces that have a lot of texture, like Baron Zemo's boots or his belts, I think Black Templar looks really, really good. Wherever there's a lot of texture, that's where contrast colors really stand out. And so I was a little bit worried about, for example, Black Widow's suit, which is smooth and doesn't have a lot of texture, because oftentimes contrast colors can come out splotchy in areas that are pretty smooth. And so we'll see whether or not this looks any good on Black Widow. It might actually be easier for the figures that are predominantly black, like Red Skull, to spray paint him black and then highlight with gray, and that's one of the methods that I use. But actually using contrast colors like this is faster, and so let's wait and see how these turn out once this black is dried. And then also with Crossbones. Now, I could have chosen to do his whole suit black, but I wanted to mix it in with some brown. So I'm not doing all of his suit black, but that's one of the choices that you can make that would definitely make it a lot faster. Then we bring out the Talisar blue again. I forgot to do the cube that Red Skull is holding. Next we're going to do Wildwood, which is a really dark brown. And we're going to do Baron Zemo's pants, as well as the rest of Crossbones' strapping and armor and everything else that he has. Whatever you don't color black, you color brown. Here we have Orc Flesh or Militarum Green, and I'm going to choose Orc Flesh for Dr. Octopus's suit, but you can do either green. The Militarum Green is a little more olive and not so bright, so you can choose that for a more subtle effect, but Orc Flesh, I think the brighter green looks pretty good. That goes with this yellow, and so that's why I chose that color. This Volupus Pink we're going to use on Baron Zemo, and if you see pictures of him, reference pictures of him online, you'll see that the upper part of his suit is this purplish color, more mixed with a little bit of red, I think. And I think Volupus Pink is a good option for the upper part of his body. But once we do this, we are going to use a purple wash from Army Painter that I have to do the bottom portion and his gloves. Now it's a little bit light, and so I ended up actually doing 2 coats of it just to make it a little darker purple. But you can opt to do all of his suit in Volupus Pink, but I like a little bit of variety. Here I'm putting silver onto Dr. Octopus, his belt, as well as his arms. And so just use whatever silver that you have to base that. And then once you're done with that, I'm going to use Wildwood again, the dark brown, to do his hair. I forgot to do that. And then I'm going to take Apothecary White, which is a great shade for white, and I'm going to use that on Baron Zemo's fur around his jacket as well as his wristbands, and it just provides a real subtle shade so that the white isn't just a flat white, and so I like that a lot. Next I'm going to take antique gold, but you can take any gold that you have, and do some of the highlights on Baron Zemo, his belt buckle, as well as the hilt of his sword. And then once that's dry, go ahead and put on a coat of black wash, either Nuln Oil or the dark wash from Army Painter. And you're going to want to do that as well on all of the silver on Dr. Octopus. And don't forget to do his belt as well with the wash. Next, I'm going to just grab my black acrylic paint and do Dr. Octopus's glasses. Just go around the red so that his frame is black. And then I'm going to blackline Spider-Man. So a lot of his suit as well as the spider is blacklined with black. Fortunately, he's the only one where you have to do that. It takes a pretty steady hand to do all of that. And then finally, we're going to wrap up with doing the bases black. And so I paint up all of the edges, and this is the last step because I actually hold the base and I don't want to rub that off while I'm painting, so that's why I do it last. Finally, I spray Tester's Dull Coat to protect all of the miniatures. So here we have the final product, and as you can see, I do think they are a little splotchy. Even here at Crossbones, the brown is a little splotchy. The Spider-Man, the blue is a little splotchy. But I am actually pretty happy with it because it was so fast to paint all 10 of these with the contrast paints. And so I do think that you would have some better results if you did use regular paints. You'd have more even coats. But considering how fast I finished all 10 of these and got them on the table, I think it looks pretty good, especially if you're looking at them not so close up, but from tabletop height. I think they actually look really good. So from this height, I think they look fantastic. And so some of the splotchiness of the paints you can't notice as well, and I think they are definitely tabletop ready. And I was able to finish them up really, really fast. So hopefully this tutorial was helpful for you. If you're wondering about the scenery that I have, I'm going to create another video that showcases what scenery options you might choose to augment this game, and I'll make another video regarding that. Otherwise, please like and subscribe. That way you can stay tuned with other videos that I come out with. So thanks so much for staying tuned, and good luck with your painting and playing this awesome game. So thanks. We will see you next time.